Close your eyes and imagine with me for a minute something that happened to me in the year of 2004. You're a 15-year-old. You're sitting on an airplane headed towards Ghana, West Africa, a place that you know relatively nothing about. The plane lands, and off the plane you go and hit a large wall of humidity, heat like you've never felt before. You begin sweating uncontrollably. You feel like you're in a sauna. As soon as you get the bags and go through security, you walk out to a sea of people. You've never seen this many black people before in your life. You've never been a minority before. Really quickly, the bags are taken away from you by guys who aren't wearing any kind of official uniform, and you have no idea who they are and what you're going to do with what they're going to do with your bags. You can't really complain though, because they're twice your size. Eventually, the men with your bags begin to fight one with another over your things. Eventually, however, you get your bags, you put them into the back of your car, and you feel okay. You begin to drive away towards your new home. And pulling up at the first red light, you see a man leaning against the traffic lights, stricken with polio. His legs all twisted around one another, and you have no idea, or you had no idea, that people really existed with diseases such as these. Like I said, between the ages of 15 and 18, I lived in West Africa, in Ghana, and I was obviously the minority. I didn't understand the culture. I didn't understand the accent of the people who did speak English, and I had no idea about the mentality of the Ghanaians. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a minority, a complete stranger in a new place? Listen to this speech today will inform you of what being a minority is like, the positives, and of course the negatives. And hopefully a few of my stories will make you laugh and appreciate the minorities that struggle with other types of issues in your own society. Today I'm going to address three things. I'm going to address my social experience in Ghana, my economical experience over there, and also, the third one, my mental experience over there. Each point I will address a few positives and a few negatives. Now, have you ever been the center of attention? And have you ever been the center of attention for reasons outside of your control? In Ghana, there's a minuscule percentage of white people. In fact, on the CIA World Factbook, the word Caucasian doesn't even feature in the breakup of the population. Now, no matter where you visit in Ghana, being white, you are called or known as the Obruni. Obruni means white person, and that is just your name to people. A lot of times people don't even care if you have a real name. You're just the Obruni. And I would hear that word about 50 times a day. Now, on the positive side, everybody wanted to be my friend. Everybody wanted to get to know me and to talk to me and associate with them. Obviously, most of the people treated me very well. I was so different, and they would try and treat me well, being the visitor in their country. And I did feel great hospitality. I always felt that I had attention. I never felt like a nobody, especially on a certain occasion in a city called Tema. We went over there for a soccer game, and we played against a school that was obviously all black people, and we were the only white people probably in the whole town, and half of our team was white. And I remember all of the school would come out to see us, to see these white people play, and the field was right by a road, and every single person who walked by the field would stop and watch the game, and eventually we had hundreds of people watching our game. And I had my name on the back of my shirt, and I remember every time I went to kick the ball, my name was chanted around seemed like the whole town. And it was a wonderful experience for me to kind of feel famous. But on the negative side of it, of course, feeling this fame, I made it quite hard because I never got a rest from the public eye as soon as I was outside. My behavior was scrutinized, and people wouldn't leave me alone, which every once in a while was quite nice, but to be honest, it got very annoying, and it got old very quick. It's hard for me, at least, or it was hard for me back then, to settle and feel comfortable when I was being watched and talked to and talked about and talked at by complete strangers. Maybe if it was a good thing, a lot of the times it was just too much of a good thing. But obviously, socially over there, I had overall a great time because I learned how to get over the negative things and not let them worry me. I kind of became numb to the things that I didn't really like. Now, economically, Ghana was a very different place for me and my family. we're from England, and there's 4 children in our family. So obviously we weren't loaded. We didn't have all this money, and we didn't have money to throw around being in England. But being in the third world, we were relatively extremely rich. According to the CIA fact book, people make around $1,500 a year on average. And over there, everything was paid in cash. You could not use a debit card or a credit card or write checks. Everything was cash. And the highest note that they had was, at the time, was 20,000 cedis, which equated to about $2. So every time we would go out and buy anything, groceries or gas or whatever it was, we would take a big old stack of money. We would pay millions of cedis for our foreign food and all these things. But obviously, that was quite positive for a while, because money was something that would never hold us back. I could afford to do a lot of things. I remember a time when Jay-Z came to visit Ghana. People like that don't usually come, and so the tickets were very expensive. The tickets were 1,000,000 cedis, which is about $100. My friends and I decided that we would spend that huge amount of money on something else. And so I remember my friend Fox Buchel, he recorded on his website about the time when we took that money and put it into a separate little thing whereby we would go and tour around Ghana. We went to Cape Coast, we went to Takoradi, Kumasi, all these different cities, and with that 1,000,000 cedis or that $100, we spent about a week on the road, paying for our travel, our hotels, our food, souvenirs, and all the stupid things that 16, 17-year-old kids spend their money on. Now, another positive of my economic situation in Ghana was that we were in a position to help people. A little bit of money went a long way there, and obviously we were relatively rich and things were relatively cheap. I remember one time my parents helping out some friends of ours, Nicholas and Michael, and they helped those guys out with money to pay for rent. And I remember their rent was about 3,000,000 cedis, which is $300 for 3 years rent. Obviously their place wasn't wonderful. I stayed in there one night and that was hilarious, but I remember that was about maybe 2 weeks shopping for our foreign food that we would pay. And we were able to be in that position to help other people. And so obviously economically being in that minority was wonderful for us. But a couple of negative things. Obviously, being white, people expected us to have a lot of money, and we were an obvious target to thieves. I remember a few separate occasions where I was mugged. I remember one time going through a market and feeling a hand just dive into my pocket and take out money, and I remember that one, obviously. So that was pretty negative. And another time, I was out really late at night in the dark, and I remember being mugged by about 10 or 15 Ghanaians who were huge. But to be fair, they were relatively nice to us as they took all of our stuff. So there is definitely positives and negatives to being a minority in West Africa economically. Now mentally, being there as between the ages of 15 and 18, that was kind of where I tried to find myself. I did a lot of soul searching over there, and there were so many different and out of the ordinary things and people that I would see day after day, and I had a lot of opportunity and time to think about a lot of these things. Positive, I mean, I allowed myself to do a lot of soul searching, find out who I was, to find out what I wanted in life. And I saw so many good and bad examples that I was able to mature and find out what I wanted. Being in West Africa really widened my horizons. It allowed me to feel that the world was my oyster. I could go anywhere I wanted and do whatever I wanted to do. If I was not there in Ghana, I probably wouldn't be here studying in the States right now and contemplating a career in international business. Being over there really mentally just opened the world up to me. And even though I gained a lot of experiences that most people will never do, on the negative side, I missed out on some fundamental things that teenagers generally have. And also right now, since I've been to Ghana, I've moved around a lot since, and I kind of feel like a nomad. Look, I don't really know where my home is. I was at the airport a few weeks ago coming into the States for school, and they asked me what my country of residence was, and I honestly didn't know. But anyways, in conclusion, I loved living in West Africa. I loved being a minority, because I feel that because of my attitude and the way that I responded to the negative situations and the way that I enjoyed the positive situations, I became comfortable. Obviously, that was how I enjoyed Africa. That's how I grew, was because of my response to the weird and different situations that confronted me. Now, I realize that minorities don't always ask to be where they are, but they do deserve the same amount of comfort as everybody else. I really enjoyed the people that would make me feel welcome. Obviously, I expected the negative to come, But obviously, in conclusion, my point today is that to be a minority or to accept a minority, we need to help these minorities to realize what the positives are and embrace them, and also to realize what those negative things are and to make the most of changing them or adapting to them. So thank you for listening today. I hope you all go and visit Ghana right now. You can go on Delta. They fly from JFK to New York, so go do it. It's a lot of fun. And have a great day. Goodbye.